Hey, everybody. Thank you guys for entering my chat. We're going to get started a little bit. Hey, Shellac with Queen T. You guys got to go check out my girl channel. Hey, Vanessa Pretty V. Also go check out her channel. Thank you guys for coming into the chat. Just give me a second. I'm going to drop. Hey, Trina. I'm going to drop the link. I think the link is already dropped in my chat. If you hit the link. Okay. Trina, do you see the link? Just give me a second, you guys. I'm going to get her. Just give me a second, you guys. I'm going to get her the link dropped to make sure she's coming on. Just give me a second, you guys. I'm going to get her the link dropped to make sure she's coming on. Trina, the link is in the chat right there. It's the StreamYard link. Hit that and it's going to bring you into studio. Trina, the link is in the chat right there. It's the StreamYard link. Hit that and it's going to bring you into studio. Trina, the link is in the chat right there. It's the StreamYard link. Hit that and it's going to bring you into studio. Trina, the link is in the chat right there. It's the StreamYard link. Hit that and it's going to bring you into studio. Trina, the link is in the chat right there. It's the StreamYard link. Hit that and it's going to bring you into studio. Trina, the link is in the chat right there. It's the StreamYard link. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming in. Thank you, Jersey Girl. Thank you, Miss B. Thank you guys as you enter my chat. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm going to introduce Trina right now and let you guys know who she is. Trina is an extraordinary educator, a committed community server, and an impulsive individual who gave in to the enemy plan every time she reached the door to her destination. So I'm trying to make sure I think she's having trouble pushing the button to enter to the studio. So hold on, let me call her and make sure that she knows what I'm talking about.
And then there you go.
Hey Trina, can you hear me? Trina? I got her up. I'm just having a little bit technical difficulty. I'm trying to make sure she's in there. Trina, can you hear me? Hold on 1 second, you guys.
And my speaker is on. Okay, now I hear you.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Trina. Could you give a little back history on who you are? I can't hear. You guys put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Okay, I'm not being able to hear Trina. Trina, can you say something?
Can anyone hear me?
Okay.
Can anyone hear me?
Hello?
Okay, can you guys hear me now? Hello?
I can hear you, Delane.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Can everybody hear me in the chat? We got everything up and running. Okay, Trina, you can
Oh,
go ahead. You can go ahead and
whew. This
give
is
us.
nerve-wracking.
You got it. Go ahead, calm down. We got you now.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, ladies. Thank you all for joining the chat tonight. This has been an experience, but I'm happy to share with you guys. I am a 30-year retired educator who went from educator, community servant, public servant to federal inmate because of a mental health addiction, a mental health illness, rather, that led to an addiction that I did not get seen about. And as a result of not seeing about myself and my mental health, an addiction, a gambling addiction, kind of overtook me. And it led me down a path that made me realize, after spending a year in federal prison, that the assignment on my life is so great that the enemy had to do whatever it could to stop me. So it sent out the special forces to stop me. But the great news is I am in better control of my mental health issues, and I am trusting God, and no weapon formed against me is going to stop the assignment that He has on my life, because I learned as a result of going through prison doors. DOOR is an acronym that the devil uses to mess with your mind, to make you think that you can't do the things that God wants you to do and has purposed you intentionally to do in your life. So after spending um, almost 30 years in education, and at age 60, I find myself with a federal inmate number. And the journey to that number was just kind of unbelievable because, like I said, I had a stellar career in education, always rose to the top of the game in record time. I think after teaching only about 5 or 6 years and transferring to a new school system, after about 3 years, I became one of the youngest principals to ever send to that level and that amount of time. And I've just, as I've looked back over my life, everything that I have accomplished, it I liken it to being in the military and achieving rank prior to the grade that you're supposed to achieve it. It's almost like skipping a grade. Like, you know, God gifted me with so many skills, talents, and abilities, and the devil knew that the assignment on my life was so great. He sent out the special forces to stop me from achieving and ascending to what God has purposed for my life. So, at like I said, at age 58, I learned that I was a target of a um, FDIC investigation that finally led to me being charged with wire fraud. Um, as a community servant and teacher, educator, principal, all of that, um, I had this gambling addiction. And because I did fundraising for several organizations, I had access to people, and I had built relationships with people. People knew me, they trusted me, and I betrayed their trust in me. And as a result of betraying that trust, I in federal prison because I could get people to do anything I wanted them to do. I was very persuasive, very charismatic, and knew that I could raise money. And when an organization told me to raise them money, if their goal was 200,000, I'd raise them that, and anything over that, I took straight to the casino by diverting their funds from the accounts that they were intended to be deposited in into my own account. Did I know that that was creating a paper trail for me? Yeah, I knew it. But because I had a mental health condition that was untreated, and I say untreated because I had actually sought help for the mental illness, but I never took my meds. I thought, I don't need them. I'm okay. But it was not until 2021 that I realized all of the things that I had done had caught up to me. And, you know, that's just where I ended up. I was assigned a 24-month stay in federal prison, but thankfully to God, I did not do 24 months because God always provides a soft spot for me to land. And He always protects and He always provides. And I've learned that in life, you go through all of these lessons, but until you learn the lesson, you're going to continue to have attacks against you. Nothing is going to keep you from what God purposed you for, but you have to at some point let go and let God.
Okay,
Um,
okay, Trina, I have a question for you. Did you have a criminal record before you went to got convicted of this crime that you went to jail for?
well, I tell you what, I did not have a criminal record, but I had been arrested before because I had a nephew living with me and I caught him smoking marijuana in my house one day. And I called the police and he made me so angry in front of the police, I struck him. So I went to jail for hitting a minor. But as far as like a criminal history of drugs, alcohol, or wire fraud, or theft by taking embezzlement, no, ma'am, none of that. It was not until this incident that I gained a federal criminal record.
And how long did it take you before you fighting this case? How long did you stay out until you have to eventually serve your sentence?
Well, luckily, I always felt like when you do good in life, good comes back to you. So I learned in October of 2019 that the feds were coming for me. And it wasn't because the people, the organizations that I had stolen money from, it wasn't because they found out I was stealing money from them. What tipped them off was a night of gambling at the casino. I remember distinctly in May of 2016, I went to the casino with $500 at 10 o'clock. And at 7 o'clock the next morning, when I returned home, I had won 57 jackpots for $103,000. Ask me, did I have $103,000? Anybody? You think I had $103,000? Put a one in the chat box if you think I had $103,000. No, ma'am, I did not. I did have about 50 something $1,000. But as a result of playing in the casino that night for more than um, almost 10 hours, it triggered an SAR report with the banks. So a SAR report is a suspicious activity report. And as a result of it triggering a suspicious activity report, they wanted, the FDIC wanted to know where was my money. I was a teacher at that point, making about $85,000 a year. So they wanted to know, because I played in the casino on a card, and I had the highest level card the casino offered. They could track my play. And they said that on that night, more than $1.2 million went through those games in that short of a time frame. So they wanted to know, how could somebody spend that kind of money who only earns on record this amount of money? So that's what triggered this as suspicious activity report.
Okay. And I know that it was a lot of letters written in your favor. A lot of people sent letters to the judge to help you out with your case. How did them letters affected your case?
Well, because like I said, I was well known throughout my community. And since I was a young person, maybe 20 something years old, I had been working in my community. I had been serving my community as an educator, serving my community as a fundraiser for one of the premier fundraising events that my community has, serving my community by connecting with some of the most high profile, I guess what you would call A-listers in this little small community. Those are the people that I rubbed shoulders with. Everybody who was anybody always came to town, and they knew that if they wanted to have just a must attend event where a good time would be had by all, they needed to come to Trina. I was the girl. I was the one that could make all of this stuff happen for them. So as a result of serving in my community for that amount of time, when people learned that, wow, she's going to jail, she's could possibly be sentenced to jail for 20 years, people came to my defense, because students, parents, family members, community leaders, friends, everybody knew of my good work. And so on the day that I went to sentencing, because I pled guilty, first of all, back up, like in December, just before Christmas break, I pled guilty. And then my sentencing was not until March 29th, 4 months later. So when I get in front of the judge's words to the court and to me, although there were two victims, two of my victims were there, and they spoke out against me. And one in particular asked the judge to sentence me to the maximum amount of time the law allowed, because their opinion of me had drastically changed. They thought that I was just a career criminal who went around preying on people, on innocent people, taking their money to do whatever. But the entire community knew better than that. So the judge says, just before he sentenced me, he said, I am so confounded. He said, for the first time in my career, I have received more letters on your behalf than ever before. He said, I received letters from your students. I received letters from your parents, your students' parents. I received letters from your friends. I received letters from community leaders. He said, I even received letters and phone calls from my friends about you. He said, I am so confounded and I want to show you mercy. He said, but I am an officer of the law and I have to do my job. So to answer your question, if you have left a legacy of good work in your community, letters do make a difference, because instead of 20 years, I got 24 months. So if I had not done all of that good work in the community, he probably would have gotten those letters, and it wouldn't have mattered if it was 500 letters, 500 of my Facebook friends saying, she's a good person, don't, da, da, da. But when you can cite the evidence, or as people say, when people have the receipts of the good work that you have done, in a community, then they speak from their heart about how you have not just one time, but over a period of years, how you have stood in the gap for students, for parents, how you've advocated for people, advocated for student rights, advocated for parent rights, advocated for people rights, and you have done your more than your fair share of being a good steward and helping people in your community, then yeah, those letters are a tremendous help, and they make the judge know and appreciate, because the judge may or may not know you. How many people run in circles with the judges and then, have to come before that judge? You wouldn't, because that judge would have to recuse himself. So when that judge saw that, wow, this person has a body of work in this community, and because she has this mental health issue, and that's exactly what my attorney said. My attorney said to my judge, he said, Your Honor, she has a disease. At no point did you see anywhere that she took the money, went on extravagant vacations, bought a new car, bought a new home, bought fancy clothes, designer. She would deposit the money into her account and withdraw it from her account at the casino. That showed a clear and evident pattern that I had an addiction. And my judge asked for a downward departure on my sentence, because if I did not have this disease, then I would not have committed this crime. So, letters, all of those things do make a difference.
So say that if you did have
Says, what is a mental health issue? So, as a result of suffering for years with anxiety, depression, and probably undiagnosed bipolarism, I think that we all have addictions, first of all. Some people are addicted to shopping. Some people are addicted to eating. Some people are addicted to sex. Some people are just addicted to whatever it is that they're addicted to. But in our African American community, we tend not to want to um, be associated with the stigma of having a mental health illness. And that was at my age, which I'm 60, at my age, that was not something that a lot of people in my circle would ever admitted to having. No, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm good. You put on the face, you put on the mask. Every time you say happy, happy, joy, joy, that's the face that you learn to put on, and you mask your illness. So it doesn't matter how bad you're hurting. It doesn't matter. My mental health disease and my gambling addiction was so bad, and I knew that I had to mask it. So I would slip to the casino late at night. I would not go where I could perhaps be seen by others, because I knew how that would be viewed. So, yeah.
Trina, I have a question for you, because Glam the Glam said, what is the mental health issue?
I just said it's
Oh,
depression, anxiety, and probably some undiagnosed bipolarism, because I've been reading what some of the traits of people, some of the traits and issues that people have exhibit that have bipolarism. So I think some of that.
and can you tell us, Trina, were you a college graduate? Like, did you where did you attend? Did you go to what did you attend college and get your degree in?
So I have like 4 degrees. I initially attended undergraduate school and got a Bachelor of Arts degree in English, and then I got a master's in education. I got an education specialist degree in education, and then I got an education specialist degree in leadership and supervision, so that I could become a principal.
And then I have some questions for you. When you got out of prison, what were your stipulations that you had to follow once you got out of prison, and what was the steps when you got out of prison? Where did you have to go before you was able to migrate back into society?
Okay, so when you are going to be released from federal prison, I don't know what the rules are for state prison. I'm speaking strictly about federal prison. They have a reentry program. So if you are, for example, if I had been in there for a long period of time and I didn't have a home, I would be homeless. So there are allowances for you to go to a halfway house, get a job, save money, and then re-enter your community. As a result of being in a halfway house for 6 months or more, you save your money. 50% of everything that you make, you have to save so that you are able to reenter society. But while you're at that halfway house, there are a lot of restrictions. You only get to go to work. Every other week, you get to go shopping and buy your hygiene. Um, you at some point when they verify that you do have a place that you can go, you can, or even if you don't have a place to go, if you have someone that you can stay with and you're preparing to go back home, they'll allow you a 12-hour pass, 24-hour pass, 48-hour pass, so that you can go back into your community and start looking for a place to live. In my case, got to that point. I was in the halfway house for probably about 45 days. And because I had a home to come to, I did not ever encounter those steps. But here's what they do say. While you're in the halfway house, you have you cannot use any social media. You can have a telephone, but as soon as you get to the halfway house or the transition center or whatever it's called for the locale that you're in, they take your phone and they remove your social media. So that's one of the things that you could not do. Since I've been home and completely released from the Bureau of Prison, I'm on supervised probation for the next 3 years. And the thing that was stressed to me was that I could not be around drugs and I could not be around anyone that had guns. So if I was visiting you, Delane, and you kept a gun in a drawer in your house, and say something popped off and the police came to your house, I'm in there. That gun is in that drawer. I could go back to jail because I have just as much access to that gun as you have. If you kept that gun locked in a, a gun cabinet, I would have no problems. But the moment any law enforcement officer stops a car, if I'm in it, and they take and run my driver's license, my probation officer will be notified within 5 seconds. And I better be calling her within 24 hours. Because if I do not, then I could return to prison as
And
a violation of my probation.
and Trina, how do they make you pay back the money that was taken from the two organizations? How do you have to pay back what you took?
Okay, wait 1 minute. I want to answer Glam to Gam. So she says, so you're stating your mental health issue attributed to you stealing? No, I'm saying my mental health issue attributed to my impulsivity. Because I'm impulsive, I'm irrational. When I'm on a high, all I know is I want to gamble. That's my addiction. And because I have a mental health illness and a gambling addiction combined, I'm going to do just like the crackhead. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to feed and fuel my addiction. So, Glam to Gam, if that answers your question, let me know. Now, what was your question, Delane?
Okay. Well, Jersey Girl 7 says, after all you've been through, do you still have support from your family and community?
I certainly do. I am very blessed in that regard because, of course, my family stuck with me all the way. And I call people now, I've come to realize that a lot of people that I probably considered friends were not friends. Those people just wanted what I had access to. So if you're the go-to girl when everything big is coming to your city, then yeah, I'm gonna shine right with you. But when you fall flat on your butt and you're in trouble now, see you bye. But my front row people, my family, those who have gone through this entire journey with me, yeah, I would say that those people have stuck right by my side.
Mhm. And as far as paying back the money that you have taken, how are they working out and how much do you have to pay back?
Well, what happens with that is while incarcerated, you work. And because they don't pay you anything, um, everybody has a low federal restitution payment or FRP payment of about $35. Coming out of prison, because I am not employed at this time and not receiving retirement benefits, I will more than likely agree to uh, a $50 payment until I either A, gain employment, or B, start receiving my benefits. And then once you start receiving your benefits, you also have to give them an expense listing of all the bills that you're responsible for. So, one of the questions I asked my PO, I said, say I want to go buy a new car, because one of the stipulations in my um, PSR report is that because I had a money crime, I have to get permission from the courts for the next 3 years um, in order to make purchases, open credit cards, open bank accounts, take out a loan. If I do that without permission, that's a violation of my probation, and I could return to prison for that and have to serve the remainder of my time. So my PO says to me now, if you need a car, I'll give you permission to go and purchase you a car. She said, am I going to give you permission to purchase a brand new Mercedes Benz? Probably not. And so I posed to her, but if that is the level and standard to which I had grown myself accustomed, why should I not be able to purchase the type of car I desire if I make sufficient income and I'm able to pay my restitution payment? And she just kind of smirked and she says, I'll get back to you on that. So, what happens is they do not want it to appear to the court that you are owe this money to your victims, but you're out here living this life driving a brand new car. And I get that. I truly get that. So, Jersey Girl, you said, how long has it been since I've been out? If that's not too personal, it's not too personal. So, I left federal prison May 24th and turned myself into a halfway house. I left the halfway house July 5th and I completed my um, BOP prison term August 18th. So, just about 2 weeks. So, do I consider myself a dishonest person? Glam to glam, I did. I was a dishonest person. Am I that person today? No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm no longer a dishonest person. And how can you say you're not dishonest when all things in you have been made new as a result of the journey that you've gone through? Then all I can do is from this day forward, just prove to people. I have to walk my talk at this point. I'm not going to do anything that I know is not going to honor the God I serve. And a lot of people say, well, when you go to prison, you find God. No, when I went to prison, I didn't find God. When I went to prison, I accepted all of the things, all of the training that I'd had all of my life. Because here's what happens to people as well. When you think you're the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree and you can get over on people and finesse their money and do things the way that you want, you start getting high on your own self. And as a result of getting so high on your own self, you just God, when you're a prayerful person, God brings you back into alignment for what He purposed and destined for your life. So if that means that I'm going to go sit you down in a federal prison for next 365 days where you don't have time to focus on anything but me and do what I purposed you and intended for you to do, then that's how I'm going to get your attention. Because when you are dancing with the devil, just like God opens doors for you, the devil knows about those doors that are being opened for you. So the devil plays with your mind, and this is where your mental health takes a pounding. Let me speak for me. It's where my mental health took a pounding and still does to this day. You think about all of the disappointments that you've had in your life, and you think about the outcomes of those disappointments. You know, you lose your job, you lose your status in the community, you go to jail, you're there for a year. You think about all of the offenses. People are thinking you're a dishonest person. And all this time, I was thinking that Trina was such a good person and she's out here stealing money to go gamble. Yeah, so how do you live that down? You just have to walk your talk each and every day, and you live life with regrets. So disappointments, outcomes, offenses, regrets, that's a door that the devil uses to keep you from ascending to what it is that God has purposed and intentioned your life for. So you have to, and I can't say what you have to do, I can only say what I do. You have to be, I am very prayerful and intentional in my study of God's word, because I never studied God's word for the last 40 years. I pick up the Bible here and there, but I never intentionally studied God's word. I did a lot of good by people, but I was not intentional in my relationship with God. Because I accomplished so much, I didn't stop and say, "Thank you, Jesus." Like most people would get a new house. Oh, thank you, God. And, they give glory and honor to God for everything that they did. I did not do that. That was a huge mistake on my part because I did not do that. I was running around just about thinking that I'm just doing all of this on my own. Like I did this within my own strength. I did this on my own, with no help from the good Lord above. And looking back, I know that that was a huge mistake that I made. Looking back, I know that had I talked to God and had a relationship with God, and then I would not have made the same mistakes that I am. And what I'm not going to do is live my life in the rearview mirror. I'm not going to be looking back. I'm not going to be worried about people who might look at me and say, "Oh, she stole this and she did." That's no longer who I am. And the word of God said, "Let the redeemed of the Lord say so." So when that is brought to me, so I'm redeemed, I'm forgiven, and I'm doing all I can for the rest of my time here on this earth. I'm going to do all that I can within my power, with my hands, with my mind to advance his kingdom and to help people not go down that path that I went down. It's incumbent to me to educate, equip, empower, and inspire others by telling my story so that they don't make the same mistake that I made.
And Trina, just a little, just to ask you a question. And where are you right now? Where are you right now in your life? Where are you right now?
That's a loaded question, Delane. What do you mean, where am I?
I mean, where are you at right now as far as getting back on your feet, as far as getting a job, as far as that right now? That's what I'm talking about.
Well, Delane, the good news is I'm not pressed for income because I'm not pressed for any of the daily. I'm provided for. I'll just say that God protects and God provides. I'm protected and I'm provided for. So I'm not pressed at this point in my life to get a job. And I'm not pressed at this point in my life to get a job because God spared my parents, who are 86 and 87 years old. He spared their lives the entire time that I was in prison. And that was one of the things that I asked God to do. I wanted to be able to return home and see my parents through the end of their life if it's His will for them to die before me. I wanted to be able to spend time with them, quality time with them, and pour into them because walking back into their lives, I could see how me going to prison nearly destroyed them. And as soon as I got back here, I learned that my oldest sister has cancer. And we're fighting cancer and we're going to kick cancer's ass. So I don't need a job right now because my job is my family. My job is to fight with my sister so that we kick cancer's ass. And I'm sorry if that offends anyone. And to be here for my parents.
Glam said, do you still gamble?
I have not. No, no, ma'am. Do I think about it? Yes, I do. Most definitely, I think about it. And I cannot promise you that I will never, ever, ever set foot in another casino in my life. Because here's what I do know. Even after learning that I had a case against me, I guess I kind of wanted to prove to myself that I had a control over my addiction. I continued to go to the casino periodically. I would not go to the casino if I did not win. The entire time that I have gambled, I always won. The addiction part is overextending yourself while they're gambling and giving back every penny that you won. So in the height of my addiction, I might win $300,000 over a year's period of time gambling. But I wouldn't have anything to show for it. If I showed you my bank account, you wouldn't see $300,000 in it. So for me at this point, I'm not, because once you have an addiction, studies show that you don't get over those. So studies show that you don't get over those, but can it be controlled? I most definitely think that it can. It all depends on where you are mentally again. If you are in a place where you are walking a different walk, anything that you do in excess is not going to be good for you, not going to have a good outcome.
Trina GP said, do you attend Gamblers Anonymous?
No, I attend Celebrate Recovery. And Celebrate Recovery is similar to a 12-step program because all of them are basically kind of the same from what I understand. But in my church community, we have Celebrate Recovery. And in Celebrate Recovery, that's where we have weekly meetings and we support one another in whatever our addictions are, be that it gambling or alcohol or substance abuse. Because I think that, most people that I know that I would consider to have a gambling addiction, those people are not ready to walk away from that. Not ready to walk away. And when I say not ready to walk away, those people cannot walk away and stay away. What I went through hurt me so deeply. I never want to feel that kind of pain again. So I can say with 100% certainty, I would never be dishonest and take anybody's money to go gamble. I would never take money that I needed for my daily living to go and gamble. No way, Jose. Never again. because I will never, ever put myself through that kind of hurt and pain again.
We're opening up the chat. You guys can ask her any questions and she will answer them. So if you guys have any questions for Trina right now, please ask her them, because she definitely will answer them for you guys.
So April Love, I do see, do I have a dual diagnosis? No, I do not. And the only reason why I do not, April, my very best girlfriend is a licensed counselor. And she knows me quite well. And she is the one who suggested that I might need to, since I have, and I just got back here, like I said, free August 18th. So I will be meeting with my provider to discuss, what could be. No, April, I do not speak at any facilities currently. But that is something that I am thinking about for the future.
Trina, LaWanda said, do you have children?
Besides going to jail, LaWanda, that is my biggest regret in life. I always chased something that loved something that couldn't love me back, which was my career. Never love a job. That would be my answer to anybody. Don't love anything that couldn't love you back. So the whole time that I was of childbearing age, I was tracking in my career, doing other things, just climbing all of these ladders. And then I looked back one day and I realized I missed out on the most important things that, as a woman, I always wanted. I look at my sisters, they all have children, and they always tell me, you can have my husband, because I'm not married either. They say, you can have my husband and my children whenever you want them. But no, I don't have any children. And that is one of the regrets I have in life. But I'm thankful that God allowed me to play a role in so many children's lives as an educator. So that kind of made up for not having any of my own.
I have a question for you, Trina. So since you've been in the education field, once you complete your probation and you've been off for a while, could you ever go back into the education field again?
Yes. And there are states where my certificate in Georgia has not been revoked. There are states that, as long as you don't have a crime against children, you can teach. But in Georgia, they have a moral turpitude clause in your contract. And because that is a problem for the state of Georgia, I'm not able to teach in Georgia. That's where I'm from.
April Love said, would you say that gambling was a way of self-medicating?
I definitely would say that, April, and I say that because if I told you all the story of how I started gambling, and I don't know how much more time we have, Delane.
We have plenty of time. You can go ahead.
Okay. So I went to work in Alabama, and the year that I became a principal over there, my first assignment was assistant principal. We had to go to a mega conference for educators every year, and so all of the administrators were telling me that, oh, this is just the school system's way of giving you a paid for vacation. We're not going to any workshops. We're just going to go hang out at the beach, have a good time. So I'm like, okay. So we get to Mobile, Alabama, to this mega conference. And the first night that we get there, my superintendent, who loved me to death, thought I hung the sun, moon, and stars. And he was the one who promoted me over a lot of people that had been in the district for a while, because he said that, he saw the talents and skills or whatever. So we get to the Grand, and it was cars backed up because it's all of these people, 30,000 people have embarked on Mobile, and everybody's going to the casino. My superintendent had such a bad addiction until he jumped out of the car and ran probably what was equivalent to about a quarter of a mile or half a mile to the front door. Couldn't wait for us to park. So that night I go in, and by the time we left, with $200, I had won like $12,000 gambling. I didn't go back often from that point on, but from 2000 until 2020, I would frequent the casino. And if I had just paid attention, gambling was a thing that caused that superintendent to lose his job because he had a superintendent's conference that was about an hour away from the casino in Mobile. And he was warned. I think that God always sends us warnings. The first time he drank and gambled all night, he had an accident, and he had his good old boys come pick the car up, fix it, and he was driving a school system car. Then the second time, he was hospitalized. So he, as a result, lost his job as a superintendent. And he was so much like me. He loved kids. He didn't care if they were black kids, white kids, green kids, yellow kids. He got a kick out of kids, and kids loved him. And he was all about the business of education. And I was all about the business of education. That's why I say, when doors open for you, Satan comes right up to those doors, because Satan realizes that what's on the other side of that door for you is so significant, it's so powerful, it's so mighty that it's going to change some lives. It's going to change, it could change the world. So when you have a great assignment on your life, Satan sends out special forces to keep you from ever ascending to and doing what God purposed and intended for you to do. But if you just keep your hand in God's hand and get back in his will and in his way, then he can turn things around for you in the blinking of an eye. And like I said, with mental illness, you are unable to sit still long enough to just pray and ask God, okay, what is it that you would have me to do? What am I to do now? So when you ask me, what am I doing now, Delane? I'm sitting still for once in my life. I'm sitting still. I'm focusing. I'm hearing from God, and I'm going to do what he wants me to do. I'm going to walk through the doors that he has that he's going to open for me, because I know that when he opens doors, there'll be doors that no man can shut, nobody can shut. And it doesn't matter what's going on inside of my head, no matter what thoughts, because the devil is still going to send me thoughts. Satan is still going to send me thoughts, because Satan knows that there is a tremendous assignment on my life, and he doesn't want to see that happen. But am I going to allow that? No, ma'am. Most definitely not. I'm not going to let anything stop me in this fall season of my life from doing what I was purposed to do. I'm not going to allow gambling to be the, when you say self-medicating, April, love, you have got to, what I had to learn to do was love myself beyond the hurt, the pain, all of the things, all of the regrets that I have, all of the shortcomings, all of the past flaws and failures. So once you learn that you are forgiven, first of all, you are forgiven. When you truly understand that you are forgiven and you are redeemed, then you start to see yourself differently.
G. Pete said, what was your triggers to gambling?
Boredom, nothing to do, idle time. Remember, I didn't have kids, didn't have a husband. Um, I got out of school each day. I made sure my parents were good. It's the weekend. I'm not keeping company with anyone, so let me just get to the casino.
Okay, well, Trina, do you have anything else that you want to share, or?
No, I mean,
Okay,
nobody
well,
had questions.
do anybody else have any more questions to ask Trina? If you do, please put it in the chat. Trina, I want to thank you and God bless you, because we all go through trials and tribulations. It's how we come out of them. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to put yourself on my panel. And I know that God will make a way out of no way. And I know that you're going to be okay, because you're not only a friend, you are a sister to me. And I know this is really hard, and I know you're nervous, but you did an excellent job. And I thank you for sharing with my panel. And if there's no more questions, anybody, I just want to thank a couple of people in my chat. Angel Mom, thank you. You have always helped me behind the scenes. Shellac, thank you so much. Glam, I appreciate you posting this on your community post. I really appreciate. And I want to thank everybody for coming out and listening to her. And God bless everybody. And you guys have a nice night and hope to see you guys again. So I'm in the chat right now.
All right. Good night.
I didn't know you were having a guest.